It's not that we didn't like the black girls in our high school. I don't want to say black girls, but the African American girls in our high school, right? Because we didn't put them with the Haitian, the Jamaican. We didn't put them with the African, the Ghanaian. We didn't put them with them, right? So the American,
Call them
ADOS,
Black American,
huh?
Black American,
yeah, Black American, right? I guess, right?
Or ADOS, yeah,
ADOS, yeah. Those women had their heroes. Unfortunately, wasn't somebody that we actually respected in the light at the.
Who were their
Who were
heroes?
the heroes,
Yeah, who were their heroes?
Well, I mean, back then, and she did a great job reforming, but Rihanna was the biggest hoe to start off, right?
What?
Rihanna was the biggest hoe to start off. We did not want the Rihanna syndrome was real. That's how you, and she did a great job. She still got bitches dressing naked, right? She was the first one that we saw coming out to be nude, right?
Rihanna was nude?
What?
When was she nude?
I don't remember.
She was the one wearing the see-through shits. Like, and now we see it, all of it. Like, that Rihanna syndrome
That
was
made
big.
her a hoe?
Yes.
Yeah, but there's these fashions recycle themselves. This was happening in the 80s too.
Yeah, I mean, Cher was
Right,
naked.
but-
Madonna was naked.
But my group of the people that that I was growing up with, we didn't exist then. So even if it did recycle itself, we didn't want to see that with our culture, especially at that age, 16, 17, 18, well, 14 to 18, if we talk about high school. So, some of the behaviors that we saw, we didn't want that. We didn't want to see that. We weren't attracted to that, I should say. And it was unfortunate that was their heroes and that's what they emulated. Not every single one of them, but majority. I mean, now you've seen it spill over across a bunch of different ethnic groups, right? But back then, and I'm assuming that's the only way I can relate to what he's saying too.
Right. But here's the question I have, right? So you're saying their heroes was Rihanna. She was over-sexualized. I guess that's what you're saying, that she was influencing women to dress.
As an entertainer.
Yeah, right. She's
one of many.
Okay,
yeah.
so that's dressing. But what are the traits, the problem where you're like, oh, this is a Black American woman. I don't want to date her because of that. It can't be because of that, just that alone.
I was Caribbean.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, she was the only one that they had, right, to look up to. Well, I mean, they weren't dressing like Beyonce. Beyonce was always the one that no one could be, right? Like, women could never be, they wouldn't even, well, maybe nowadays, but back
Why
then.
wouldn't they emulate Beyonce?
Because Beyonce was always the one that was the
tried.
perfect one. And it was too hard to be perfect. So, they more so said, that is what we can never be, but that is something that we strive to be, but we don't actually practice to be. It's like the untouchable. So, but it was easy to be the Rihannas. You know what I'm saying? It was easier to do that. And to be Beyonce in that time frame or have that mindset, it requires a tremendous amount of just self-discipline and self-worth, which is easier to get what you want when you don't have that self-worth.
Are we still talking about
Hold
high
on.
school?
Can I just say,
I'm just saying, like, earlier, like, let's just say, like,
I just feel like we are so much like, we're so harsh with our own. Like, it's insane. In terms of the grace that we'll give to other races, right? Who will practically do the same thing. They will do the exact same thing. But if we as Black women do it, now you're a whore. Now you're the worst. You're a strumpet. You're a dox. You're
It's a strumpet.
I've actually never heard that word.
strumpet?
Strumpet.
Oh, it's like
Wait a minute.
it's like a loose woman.
I think, you know what?
a loose woman, like, does it mean physically
Whore.
loose?
Like it's like a whore.
A
Streetwalker.
Like I
Strumpet. I'm about to say
a
that.
strumpet, yeah.
Strumpet ass.
But
A gutter snipe.
remember when
But
seriously, like it's like why do we judge and like are so harsh to our women and give so much grace to other races?
I think that what needs to be understood, and I can say this from having a multicultural family group,
Mm-hmm.
every one of these niggas is harsh on their culture, okay?
Mm.
The white people are the Italians are harsh on their Italians.
Okay.
Don't get it fucked up. The Dominicans are harsh on the fucking Dominicans. Don't get it fucked up. So when we're harsh on our culture as well, we're doing the same thing every single ethnic background is doing. We just don't want to do it.
I actually disagree because think about how many times like a white kid gets in trouble versus when a black kid gets in trouble. What's it called when they make you more like a childify, or it's some word, sociology word, and then they adultify the black child.
Oh, always.
I get what you're saying.
And it's always, Johnny or no, Biff. Biff was a great kid, and he was just being a boy and blah blah blah. But let Rayshawn mess up.
He's a grown man.
He's a grown man.
17.
And the same parents who were saying that their kid was just being a young boy and they mess up or whatever, they're not going to have that same perspective when it comes to Rayshawn.
No.
Well,
So they definitely don't treat, they're definitely going to be harsher on us or somebody that's not their own.
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. I'm speaking about from the inside, speaking and judging the inside. I'm not talking about the outside perspectives, right?
I don't see, yes, they may be hard for you to get better, but I don't see an Irish or an Italian they don't get on the soapbox to tell you as an Irish woman
They don't
or
down
an
their own.
Italian woman how you're the worst and this is why I don't want you.
What if they do? And
They
we just-
don't.
we
like,
just-
no,
what if we just don't see it?
No.
Because we're not
I'm on their pages.
we see it because unless you live in a skewed corner where you only are exposed to just blackness, then maybe you don't know. But if you are exposed to the world, because it is a very big world, it doesn't happen. It's not a thing that we don't see it. It's not they just don't do it. Yes, you're right. They may be critical of their women, but they're not getting on this soapbox. Like black men are so quick to get on a soapbox and tell every reason why you hate black women.
Well, it's because you have to think majority. I would argue a lot of their success, and when I say they, I mean the other groups, do not come by the way of selling out and losing your ethics, your moral ethics, and just your moral compass. It doesn't come by way of that. So there might be a lot of white doctors, and obviously there's other variables that play into that. But there's, for example, if I was Middle Eastern, which I do know at one point in time, Kim Kardashian was a disgrace to the Armenian race and to the Middle Eastern culture, right? Because of how she came up.
Okay.
Right? Now, there's very few Kim Kardashians that, have that amount of success doing something like that in the comparisons to the totality of the women or the men of that cultural group. For us, it seems as if we get so quick to do everything else but to do everything else for success but something progressive. Right?
What is that?
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and we can't wait to endorse a sexy red. And we can't wait to say, well, at least she's getting money. Right? We can't wait to do those different things. And literally what it does is it's harming our community. Right? And same thing with black people. It's not with BMF. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, the men is the same. We're the quickest to lose our moral compass for our community and just for a taste of money.
Right.
Which is why we get so loud about it, because what they're doing is typically either not in the forefront of everything, so they don't have to address it to the public.
Have you considered that that's a symptom?
I think, here's my thing with this. I do know, and I'm 100% aware of the roots and the causes, right? And this, which we're going to be able to say that in the line of that is a symptom. However, we are now in 2025, and conscious decisions are being made, even though it is a symptom, you still consciously choose it, which makes it not realistically a symptom anymore. It's more so of a choice.
It's still a symptom in the sense that look at, and you brought this up last week, where our spending power is, where the amount of money that we have as a collective now, and how it's diminishing. And so I'm thinking perhaps that's why where they're making money, that being an excuse has been acceptable. I'm all for bringing shame back, but I also look at what you're saying. Yes, it's happening. I can't disagree with that, but I look at it as a symptom, because think about, let's say, in the boomers' heyday, when they were in their 30s and 40s, think about, even though it was segregated to an extent back then, it was like the 80s, shit was still kind of rough with interest rates. They were still able to like live a decent life. Maybe one person worked, the other person took care of the 5 kids they had or whatever, whatever. And just having each person had one job, you could live an average life. And I think that now that's quickly escaping everybody, but probably more quickly escaping us. I think that perhaps that's why people are more accepting of being like, oh, well, they get in the bag.
Right.
She looked like a damn fool, but she get in the bag, And I think that you're gonna always have those types of people. Case in point, OJ. OJ was a nigga, but OJ wanted to separate himself. You know what I mean? And he probably was like, well, I just want to be an athlete and I just want to get my bag. So he thought it was okay to separate himself from the community who essentially supported him to get him to where he was.
Right.
So I think it's happened a lot. But I also think that because shame is lacking, there are more outrageous things happening that we're essentially being okay with, or some people are being okay with, or just being like, ugh, whatever, like let them do what they want to do, just being sort of dismissive.
Right.
Yeah, I'm all for kicking people out of our group. Like, listen, if you want to demonstrate that way, you can't. We back in the day, we say we pull your black card. I would love to pull a lot of these celebrities' black cards. You should not be allowed to be associated with our ethnic background if that's how you're going to display yourself, right?
But okay, again, you have to have leaders who are going to operate like that. We rarely see grown men checking other grown men for their piss poor behavior. We rarely see grown women checking other grown women of the same community for their piss poor behavior. So until that is acceptable again, and I think that comes from community. So until we have that same kind of community again, I just don't think we're going to be able to get to the point where that you're referencing.
But we have to, in order to do that, we have to devalue the money, because we value money so much that if you are doing something that is piss poor, but you're finding a way to make it beneficial, which is really because whoever is the higher ups are going to make sure that you are that representation and continue to fund it.
So how do you do that?
We have to be able to, the start would be able to say, you know what? I don't care if you're getting a bag.
No. How do you devalue the money?
Yeah.
Well,
That would go back to having a community.
It goes back to having the public voices not justify bad behavior because of the monetary success that it has. I cannot go on here and say, yo, you know what? BMF is one of the greatest of all time. No, you killed millions in our community, or you have affected millions in our community. A woman can't go up here and say, yo, you know what? Dancing like Sexy Red and Glorilla and talking about popping your pussy is acceptable.
Glorilla and Sexy Red is not the same, just FYI.
I'm just saying, because I've heard Glorilla say it too, right?
She does, but she ain't.
I'm not
talking about her booty hole brown.
But my thing is this.
Ain't no Sexy Red.
But my thing is this. None of it is tolerated on any level, right? Sexy Red is probably the umph. She might be a 10 and Glorilla might be a 6 or a 7. But none of it should be tolerated. None of it should be endorsed by us, right? And if we don't endorse it, then and it starts from here, then it allows us to actually progress. You mentioned something in a group chat the other day saying how, you wish, or not that this is not verbatim, please correct me, that you wish that men and women of our color and our native backgrounds did not see sports as the only option, right?
Rapping.
Sports and rapping as the only option, right? Which obviously, if you play football, you already know the odds are of you, or any sport, the odds of you actually making this successful is very slim, but yet you dedicate your whole life to this, and then you don't do anything to benefit, your intellect or your education, right? So when we all say these different things, this is where it has to start. The start is here. And we have enough impact for people to say, yo, you know what? All right, let me make sure the children that I have now, I'm going to start telling them, hey, listen, you are 6'5". You don't need to resort to basketball. You know what I'm saying? But it might be beneficial.
That's why I was like, wait a minute.
But again, we can't look at...
6'5".
Yeah.
It's also...
but
Maybe tennis, or pitcher.
Right.
So this is a perfect example. Like 6'5", you probably have a bit more athletic prowess than the average person.
Right.
So I think it's okay to expose your kid to these other things. But if they also show that they're good at like art, or they're good, they can do like back of the napkin math very easily, or they have like some savant type memory. Like, I mean, put them in math camp and like basketball camp or something. But like they have to see something else. And that's why I always say, like, it's very hard to be something if you don't see it.
Right.
You know, and I know a lot of people are against like organizations like Jack and Jill because, it's for the bourgeoisie, blah, blah, blah. But I'm telling you, these organizations are not all bourgeoisie kids. And a lot of times you're able to see people and meet people and their parents who do things you never knew existed. And so I remember I was like in 4th grade, my classmate, his dad was like, and literally just maybe until a year or two ago, was the CEO of Texas Children's Hospital in Houston. So pretty much all my life. And I remember being at their house. I didn't even realize how rich they were. But I remember being at their house and somebody was talking about a thoracic surgeon. And so I don't know if I went and looked it up in an encyclopedia or did something. I was like, you know what? Shit, that's what I want to be. I ain't even like science like that. But I wanted to be a thoracic surgeon. You know, and I think that if you're a kid and you just keep saying that, and then you dive into it at some point and you get some type of exposure, you might just end up being a thoracic surgeon. If not, maybe a general surgeon, a plastic surgeon, anything. But until you're exposed to it, you have no idea that it's even possible.
Right.
You literally have no idea.
I think that's part of the problem is in a lot of communities, they don't necessarily have access to these resources. And that's part of why you're thinking your only way out is either through music or sports, because those are things that everyone can see. You can watch the Super Bowl, you can watch a basketball, you can listen to rap music, right? But you may not have in your school, they're not teaching you entrepreneurship.
Or a science center.
Do you see what I'm saying? Like your community, and that's part of the problem. You have to see it.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be something tangible for you to be like, you were exposed to that. It was very close to you. So you're like, this is something I can do.
I saw something with LeVar Ball the other day, and he played professional football, right? And he, I don't know, maybe practice squad, something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Practice squad.
He said, how'd you feel after, you were out? He's like, I didn't care. He said, I had all that money. And he said, I knew I had a jump start on life and that was good enough for me.
But that's one of the things that I think, and I don't know the reason.
But Sexy Red can do, I'm just saying, she could be like.
She'd be like a Black China, Angela White. Yeah, it's so hard. It's like if I was, and I hate to say this, let's just say I was a thief my entire life. And I made millions stealing. And I said, you know what, guys?
You was more than a thief if you making millions.
Yeah. and them heist movies. And I said, you know what, guys? I'm done with doing heists. I want to do things the right way. Everybody's going to be like, nah, you've already burnt your integrity. Like, we always think that we can regain our integrity after we've publicly destroyed it.
I think in America you can.
Yeah, there's
so many redemption stories.
Yeah.
Like, I think in America you can.
They love a good redemption story.
Nah, redemption is different than something like doing something one time when you were younger or a couple times when you were younger, but then you made that your career.
Yeah.
And it is different. And the experience, I will say, from dating different ethnic backgrounds, when I date, in comparison to when I date an American Black woman, is the American Black woman is like if this was a chicken and the egg thing,
Mm-hmm.
they have to come first. They're like, what can you do for me? Versus all the other ethnic backgrounds is, what can I do for you as the black man? Right? So and in return, we shower her with whatever it is that we have.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, if I have a Spanish woman and I'm like, the first time I meet her or whatever, and it's not in Colombia, it's not in DR, it's in America, right?
Okay.
And the way she's going to treat you is going to be different from the very, very, very beginning,
Okay.
right? It's like, I might have to earn her trust, but I have to earn her trust with her body. With a black American woman, I have to earn her trust in an entirely different way, right? And it's like, I'm coming to you guilty before innocent.